my name's Gary Schotten, and I'm a part of and founder of the organization that's putting on these videos and these audio teachings under the title of Inspiring Better Business, IBB Talks. Today we're going to talk about the subject of accountability. And I'm going to give you a little definition in a minute and kind of give you an idea what I mean when I talk about accountability. And then we're going to talk about some of the policies that we've developed in our company of accountability and some of the good things that's happened and maybe some of the things that didn't work out so well and the kind of things that happened when we didn't have accountability. We didn't know something was happening and we didn't hold other people accountable for their actions. And we're going to wrap up with just a solid understanding that people must take responsibility for what they've done. That's being accountable for our actions. Accountability, I think it just kind of comes down very, very simple, taking responsibility for what you do. I must take responsibility for what I do. And in my case, we'll talk about it more in a bit, but I must take responsibility for things that maybe I didn't even do, but somebody in my company did. In other words, I can't go to my customer and just say, well, Joe over here, he was late to work on Friday, and because he was late to work, then he had a bad attitude, and he produced these bad parts, and now he's the guy that did this. I would never do that to my customer because I'm responsible. Why did I let Joe get to work late? Why did I let him have a problem? I have responsibility. I'm accountable. So let's talk about the attitude or culture of our company. You see, we have to hold people accountable, and ultimately we want them to hold themselves accountable. In other words, we want to create an atmosphere that we say, hey, you need to be watching after yourself. We need to get past this point that the company is going to cover for you all the time. So we want people that become accountable, take responsibility for themselves all the time. That's something we try to observe when we're hiring somebody. I don't currently do all the hiring, but over the years I've hired lots of people. And when I start talking with them and they start talking about their last boss, man, well, why did you leave your last company, I might ask. And they say, well, you don't understand this boss. And they start just ranting and raving and they just start telling all the bad things that previous company was done to them and why it was unfair and unjust. You know what? That's the biggest black mark, the biggest reason I wouldn't hire that person, because I will guarantee at some point he will leave our company and he's going to have those same bad words about me because I didn't listen to him, I didn't take care of him, I didn't provide him whatever he needed to be successful, and so it was the company's fault. Well, probably his own fault. He didn't take accountability. He wasn't accountable for his actions. He wasn't accountable to come to work on time, to be aggressive learner, to be engaged at work. He wasn't accountable to do more than what was expected. There's just something about that I wouldn't accept. That's what account. I'm going to take account, like 1, 2, 3, 4, of what you've done while you're working for me. So let's find people that will take account of what they're doing themselves before I need to take account of what they're doing, and they make the corrections before I need to make the corrections. That's accountability. We're not the police department around here. We're not hiring enough. When I joke about that, but I say that to our people, we're not hiring enough inspectors to go around and check on everybody, make sure while our workers are trying to hide something from us. They make a bad part, they know they cannot slip that bad part into the pallet, into the shipment, and hope nobody finds it. That is not acceptable. So we would probably never catch it, and more than likely the customer may never see it. We don't know, but that's not who we are. We must be accountable for when we make a mistake. We don't expect perfection, but we do expect honesty. When we're dealing with people about being accountable, we want them to know that we're not rude and we're not difficult, we're not chewing them out, we're not making them feel low, but we go around and we make things good by checking on what's going on and knowing what's happening. Here's a couple real examples of that in the manufacturing business. You see, People don't really always do what's expected, expected. They do what's inspected. That's pretty common terminology. They don't always do what's expected, but many times do better when we have an inspection process. And frankly, those people that are doing a great job of inspecting themselves, they appreciate an inspection process. They don't mind that. So in our case, we're always looking for efficiencies. And efficiencies come when we're looking for better ways of doing things. And efficiencies come when we make procedures and processes. And so in the process of creating a company, we're always working to improve things, always working for the end result. So on a given day, we have a schedule, we have jobs, we have documentation because it's automated, and we can look at the end of the day whether or not a person actually made what was expected as part of the time of their job should take. Let me give an example. We have parts that we figure that we know or expect them to be made in 15 minutes. And so what that means to us, that in 1 hour there should be 4 completed parts on the table or on the pallet in front of them. That would mean in 10 hours, for easy numbers, that would mean there's 40 parts completed. We do and work hard at it and working towards it to say, you know, why didn't you have 40 parts today? That's holding them accountable. And maybe there's a good reason. And they don't mind that if we handle it with enough instruction and encouragement, not just chew somebody out. Because we must find out why we didn't make our scheduled time. Maybe the estimated time was wrong. That's possible. Maybe something broke down that day. Maybe they ran into some hard material that they've never run in before. There's always reason for it, so we don't come blaming them. We ask them to show account of why we didn't complete the number of parts in that given time. We have a process here in a business term called layered process audits. Now that may sound like a lot of mouthful, but we have layers of processes and then we audit those. You know, almost all fast food restaurants have a store manager, and then we have a regional manager or a district manager that works with the store manager, and they look at the numbers. How many did they sell? Is it in line with the expectation? So in our case, we have things that need to be improved on. And so when we find a way of improving something, we change the system to improve that. And once we've changed that system, we try to think of something that would make sure we don't stop doing what we just improved on. Case in point, if we find a better way of doing something, if we're not careful and we think we fixed that, if we're not careful, sometime maybe 2 months, 3 months later, we slip back and stop doing what we thought we'd already fixed in that particular case. This audit, it's an internal audit. Individuals are auditing each other from different departments to different. The quality department is maybe monitoring our gear department. The gear department may be monitoring our machine department. Machine department would be then maybe that week or that month auditing the quality department, because we need to know that we are accountable to follow the same basic procedures, and of course change if it's not going to be a good thing. We change all the time. Well, I hope this is helpful. As owner, I take responsibility for what happens in my company. You would not hear me at my customer talking about how somebody else did a bad job and why they were the reason that we flubbed. Nope, I'm responsible. When I'm responsible, I also follow up with a process or procedure to assure my customer that we're doing everything possible within our power to create a system so that doesn't happen again, or at least doesn't happen on a regular basis. Well, accountability. Are we taking good accountability ourselves? Are we taking good accountability in our company? We can all do better. We can do better, I know that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Accountability is a part of having a positive and profitable company.